I rise today to speak of one of my gravest concerns, which is our nation's fiscal future. All of us, Democrats and Republicans, liberals, moderates, conservatives, face a choice about whether we will seize the moment before us and confront our grave fiscal nightmare, or whether we will let this moment pass us by. Clearly, we face tough and difficult decisions. The decision we make as members of Congress must be the right and responsible ones, or our beloved nation and our hardworking families will needlessly suffer. In my state, when I became governor, we faced challenging times, growing debts, tough budget choices. And when I was first elected in November of 2004, the first thing I did afterwards was go to New York and talk to the rating agencies, the people that knew our state best, to find out what our challenges, our gravest challenges. We took those challenges. I went back home and we started making changes. The first thing I did was not blame anybody, any past administration, Republican or Democrat, or any other body. I was elected to fix things, not to put blame on people. And we started as West Virginians, not as Democrats or Republicans, going about fixing the problems of our state. We didn't raise tax rates. People came to me and said we needed to do that. But I couldn't look people in the eye and do that without trying to run our state more efficiently. The difference between what we did back home and what's happening here in Washington is that we faced these choices together. We worked across party lines in a responsible way to address our fiscal challenges, and in doing so, we set our state on the right fiscal path, and without, let me stress again, without sacrificing our moral responsibility or obligations to our seniors, our veterans, and the people most challenged in our society. And we did that without raising their tax rates. Right now, because we made the right choices, our state is doing well. Even in the most difficult, challenging financial times, we've had record surpluses every year, 6 years in a row. For the last 3 years, we're one of the few states in the nation that's got an increase in our rating from the Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and Fitch's, the rating agencies. We did all this by living within our means. It is the reason why I'm such a strong supporter of a balanced budget amendment. It makes you put your priorities based on what your values are in place. I truly believe that most Americans support a balanced budget. Every family that I know in my state and in this nation works off of some sort of a budget. Nearly all of our state governments operate on a balanced budget amendment. I've never seen another place except here at our nation's capital, in our government in Washington, that puts a budget together based on what they want to spend and not on how much they have to spend. But how we balance our budget is critically important. We have a moral responsibility and an obligation to our seniors, our families, and those who are the most fragile in our challenged society. That is why I cannot support the cut, cap, and balance plan passed in the House, which we will be voting on shortly. As a moderate Democrat who is also a proud fiscal conservative, I agree with that bill's goal of a balanced budget. However, I cannot support the path that it takes. The cap, cut, and balance plan does not reflect who we are or what we want to be as Americans. I believe that we need to cut, but not so deeply without regard for our seniors and our most vulnerable. I believe that we need a cap on our spending, but not at a level that could destroy the most important and vital programs that we have in society. I strongly believe that we need a balanced budget amendment, but only one that takes a responsible and reasonable approach. Clearly, we can all agree that it is time for us to make the difficult choice that will get our financial house in order, but we must do so with the right plan in a responsible manner that keeps our promises to our seniors, our veterans, and most importantly, our children. And like it or not, neither Democrats nor Republicans can tackle this enormous challenge on their own. This is not a political problem. This is an American problem, one that we all face. We should put politics aside and truly put our country first. Earlier this week, I saw that spirit at its finest on Tuesday of this past week when you, Mr. President, along with 49 other of our colleagues, came together to listen to the Gang of Six who worked so hard based off of the President's Fiscal Debt Commission. Democrats and Republicans.
The Senate will be in order.
Democrats and Republicans rolled out the first bipartisan proposal to address the nation's fiscal nightmare. At that meeting, 50 senators from both parties, evenly split, came together to listen to the hard work of the senators who span the ideological spectrum. At that moment, the gang of six turned into what we affectionately call the mob of 50. And for the first time in these negotiations about our fiscal future, we had a bipartisan plan with momentum that was putting our country first. Mr. President, we should not waste this moment. We must work together to cut spending and attack waste, fraud, and abuse in every sector of our state and our country. Every department, every program that needlessly costs our nation hundreds of billions of dollars every year. We must work together to reform our tax code, not to raise tax rates, but to make fairness a priority. It is simply unfair that hardworking middle-class families in West Virginia and all around this great country would pay more in taxes than a Fortune 500 company like GE, which didn't pay a cent, or billionaires like Warren Buffett, who pays a lower effective rate than his secretary.
Senator's time has expired.
Democrats and Republicans must work together to remove unnecessary loopholes, subsidies, and tax credits that we simply cannot afford in light of a ballooning debt. And that is time to end the three wars that we have, that we're spending so much, and the resources that we can't afford, and the lives that we can't spare. So, Mr. President, I say to all, this is a time for us to come together as Americans, to put our politics aside and do what is right for all of the future of this generation and for this country. Thank you, and I yield the floor.